Hi there, and welcome to Marvel Horse TV. And excuse me, two or 3 days ago. Um, it's just referencing really, basically said that we're joking how we run. Um, his exact words verbatim were, "You've got a group of fans who run a channel who vilify the club." He's talking about AFTV, and I'll talk on my views on that later. We also said they're a big club in image alone. They aren't big in any other department. Fair points, which most Arsenal fans would agree with. Now I'm going to go through his you got most Arsenal fans would agree with his sentiments, and I don't see the sort. I think football fans need to be less sensitive. Maybe that's asking too much. I don't know, but whatever. So yeah. Without further ado, then I'm going to go into his comments and then dissect them one by one. So here goes then.
Arsenal go there and Arsenal win. Wasn't much of a game, I've got to say. I was speaking to one of the lads this morning who was watching it last night. He did here earlier this morning, but he had a snooze during the second half. So you don't associate that with a Chelsea Arsenal match. No. But anyway, that was the case. It certainly wasn't a classic by any stretch of the imagination. But before match Mikel Arteta and after match Mikel Arteta were two totally different people, in my view. This was pre-match, Simon. This was Mikel when he was asked if he thought his players were giving him the maximum.
With the majority of them, yes. Not all of them. How do you go?
You know what? This part's on the Arteta stuff, so I'm gonna fast forward it a bit because it's not pertinent to the point as such.
I like Mikel. I must admit, I liked him as a player, and I hope he does well as a manager. But am I missing? He's got I can enjoy the win I want when I want. Why haven't you joined them? Oh, because you're waiting for this commercial blend. In telling you, I would have liked to have heard.
No, I'm gonna fast forward again.
What perhaps has come after it. But if he actually meant that I've got players that possibly aren't going to be able to get to the level that I require of them, yeah, then that's a different conversation.
Well, this part actually was about Arteta getting angry about what he was saying was being misconstrued. Um, Personally, to be honest, I didn't care that much about that. I think I don't know. It could be just a misunderstanding. I'm not bothered, in all honesty. So I'm going to try and go back to the meaty bit, as it were.
To hide behind the first team manager and look good and have all the training mechanisms and have all the coaching boundaries and have all the dialogue. He's in the real world now. Yeah, and this is the business end, and he's coming up short. I'm going to say as well, Sam, please, on this occasion, you can't be annoyed with the media because you said it. No, it's your fault. It's your own fault. It's your fault. Have we just shown that by playing it before? The only thing I would say in defence of it is I don't like the gotcha mentality. A gotcha mentality is something we seem to revel in this country. Gotcha! He said they're not playing for him. Got him. Right, bang, we can launch it up. He opened that door, but there is something unedifying about why does it have to be a gotcha mentality? Because if there was a real desire to understand what he meant, the journal could have pushed back and gone, what do you mean? What are the reasons behind it? You just said the majority of the players are with you. What do you mean? And if he'd have gone on to say there's a few that are on the periphery of the team that won't build to the level, then the journalists couldn't have been laying a pipeline of he's put.
I'm going to fast forward a bit because they're not talking about. So
I've got gold with it. He's just told me something I can utilise. And then I think he's gone away, won a game, and then come back and thought.
You know, I'm going to talk about this Arteta thing. I agree with the general gist that you have to be careful what you say, and things can be lost in translation or misinterpreted or misconstrued. Um, yeah, so in that sense, I do agree. So moving on now.
I'm quite cross with that because I've allowed myself to get a little bit of a kicking. I've allowed the journalist to take it in the direction that I've opened the door for him, and now I'm going to be a bit more robust about it. Is it deflection from what? They just want to go tiny little bit of paranoia. Well, I know they want to get paranoia, and that surprised me, Simon, that off the back of getting 3 ways for points, he makes an important point. He goes on the attack a bit in the media. I'm really annoyed with them, the way they reported my earlier comment. But don't be. You wonder, because you left it open to interpret. You wonder what would have happened. Yeah, that's true. Very true. I wonder what would have happened if they had lost the game. So, did he get a pair because they won a game? Yeah. And he didn't have a pair before the game, and he was basically suggesting that it was other people's responsibility or other people's fault. That's the reason why they currently weren't doing what Arsenal Football Club are supposed to be doing, or what we think they're supposed to be doing. The fact of the matter is that despite the advancing of the thought that Mikel Arteta was going to be a good manager by people like me, I'm beginning to think that's unwinding. But I also think the reasons for that is Arsenal are a joke football club right now in lots of ways. They've got an owner that's disengaged. They've got an owner that's happy with mediocrity. They've got a director of football that, I don't think is pulling up any trees.
Now let's talk about this. This is the meaty bit now. An owner who doesn't know much about football, an owner who is not pulling up trees. I think that's spot on. I don't see how you can get offended about that. That's just reality. So let's move on then.
And they've gone for a manager that sounds good on paper, but when it comes down to it, I'm not sure he's got the chops to be able to do what Arsenal needs him to do.
Again, that's pretty fair. That's a spot on analysis which most Arsenal fans seemingly are coming round to. Let's move on.
Joke? Is that where it's from? Joke football club? Well, you've got to turn around and say that Arsenal have just laughingly been put inside a self-appointed organisation of the top 6 clubs, whilst their team, I said 2 years ago on Adrian Durham's fanfare intellectual commentary show, that Arsenal would ultimately drop out of the European spots if they didn't change the direction of travel. They've now done that. Yeah.
Again, fair point. I think most would say that the club has needed strong change since Wenger left. Not since Wenger left, before Wenger left.
They've worked their way backwards in the league, and what they are is a big club in image alone, and a big club in reputation alone, because they're not a big club in any other department right now.
I can see where he's coming from. It's the truth. He says the Super League, I don't think the criteria for the Super League is not just based on current success, right? It should be based as much on brand, because if you have clubs that have a big global fan base that can see your games, can buy merchandise, whatever, buy TV subscriptions, and if you're basing it on brand and fan base alone, then Arsenal has to be it. But he's got a point, so I don't see what really so offensive of what he said is. It's the truth. We are a joke. Now, as for AFTV, let's put it this way. Man United lost to Liverpool. Do you think Howson and McCullough, Stretford Paddock, Mark Goldbridge, Terry Football Terrace, any prominent Man United YouTube fan was happy? And remember, Liverpool are United's biggest enemies, just like Arsenal, Tottenham. They're not happy at all. They shouldn't be. They lost to Leicester badly. If they lose in the Europa League, you'll see them cuss. So AFTV cussing about Arsenal when the state of the football club is not good. Why is that something that is so condemnatory? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and that's not because I have an agenda against Arsenal. It's just a simple fact of that. What are you, 10th, 9th, 8th in the league? Right? What are you, out of the Europa League, losing to a manager that you thought was a joke, couldn't get out the door fast enough because you ridiculed him? What are you? Are you a winning football club? Are you a club in ascendancy? You've got a group of fans that operate a TV station and do nothing but vilify their own club. I'm sorry. I think they're a bit of a joke at the moment. All right, Simon Tuna.
Again, I can see where he's coming from, based on name and the way we're run as a football club. Which Arsenal fan should disagree with that? I'm going to use that word, should.
Out there, Arsenal at the moment, to him, bit of a joke club at the moment. Is that too strong? Are you really a club on the up? Are you on the ascendancy? If you're not, you should be, because it's about time. And what do you think of Mikel Arteta before and after? Has he got a point, or has he been a bit flaky with that one? Is he leaving it open to interpretation?
No, I think that's all fair points that you said. It's all fair. And yeah, I don't see how any Arsenal fan can get offended at that. If you're offended, then I think you need to sort your life out basically, because what he said is facts, and he obviously has no dog in the fight. He's a Palace fan. He used to own Crystal Palace. He doesn't care about Arsenal. So I'm going to talk about some points Lord Sugar made. Obviously, successful businessman in his own right. He used to own our good friends Tottenham years ago now, in the 1990s. We didn't own them very successfully, but Tottenham and success are like oil and water, they don't mix. So, but that said, I'm going to talk about Lord Sugar now and fan ownership. And Lord Sugar and Simon Jordan say they don't want fans on board. So I'm going to go through the interview on Talksport again with Lord Sugar. So let's see what he has to say. Also, there was Trevor Sinclair and Jim White again, giving their 2 pennies worth. So let's have a look at this.
In terms of owner-fans relationships, it's an all-time low, is it not? You don't see it that happened at Old Trafford recently with the protests there. I mean, do you think owners should have more respect for fans after this?
Well, I've always thought owners had respect for fans. I can't see why you're saying more. I mean, any owner that didn't have respect for fans didn't deserve to be an owner. I mean,
yeah, but United fans say they haven't helped the Glazers in 16 years.
Well, I can't comment on that. I mean, the Glazers went and bought Manchester United. Martin Edwards saw the money, and he took the money and done a runner. And he got offered a hell of a load of money. And in came a bunch of Americans who thought they could just apply American-style football principles and as they do in America. And also, if I remember rightly, I believe they got a banker who actually put up the money. It wasn't even actually them.
They found 500 million leverage on them,
yeah, they put some banker in place. So they didn't really, they were pseudo owners. As opposed to, say, Chelsea, for example, and Man City.
The thing is, Lord Sugar's not answering the question. Yes, he said that an owner should not buy a club if he's not doesn't care about the fans. But the thing is, when Lord Sugar was in charge at Tottenham, yes, the Premier League was in existence. Yes, money had started to become big, but it was kind of like a cusp between the old style owners who did give a shit, who are often local businessmen or who were inherited it from their parents or from their family, like the Hillwoods did, both Dennis and Peter Hillwood at Arsenal. But these American, not just American, I'm not making this an anti-American thing. I think a lot of foreign owners do not have the same attachment. Yes, Abramovich is a British. Yes, the Sheikh is a British. But even still, I think if you do come from a different culture and not even from the area, overall, I think there's a different breed of owner than there was decades ago, especially in the time when Sugar owned Tottenham. But Mike Ashley's British, he clearly doesn't care about Newcastle. So let's go on.
The owners are the owners, really, and all that. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm trying to be polite, but some of these clubs that are owned by giant corporations don't have the feeling for the fans. When you got someone who owns like West Ham, they've got a feeling for the fans.
I don't agree with that. West Ham fans despise Golden Sullivan. Yes, you probably don't hear as much of it because they're fifth in the league. I don't think they'll get Champions League, but they could well get Europa League. But I don't think that ameliorates or lessens it, like years of mismanagement. So Golden Sullivan and what's her name, Lady Brady, or is it Baroness Brady? To be honest, I can't remember her specific title, but you know what I mean. I think most West Ham fans would still be skeptical at the very least regarding them. So I don't know where he's got that from.
Leicester got a feeling for the fans. Liverpool or Wolves had a feeling for the fans. I mean, they're an amazing club.
Liverpool, well, Hicks and Gillette, Yes, FSG, but there are some Liverpool fans who are FSG out. Um, they have their reasons for being so, I guess. Yes, they have won the Premier League, the first league title in 30 years. They won a Champions League. They hired Klopp, and Klopp obviously has done wonders there. But again, that's their prerogative. They want to be FSG out. Everton, they didn't like when Cartwright was in charge. I suppose Bashiri, Everton still have a long way to go, I think, to be a top 4 team or win the league as they used to, like in the 80s and 60s and shit. But
It's in the same. Tottenham, I had a feeling for the fans. I'm sure Daniel has also.
thing is, Lord Sugar, when you own Tottenham, not many of your fans liked you, and there's some Tottenham fans today who are Eric out. So you may have had a feeling for the fans, but they probably didn't have a feeling for you, and not for Daniel and Joe, your obvious successors as owners.
So
Well, what do you think about things, Alan? Because in your time, I had Neil Ruddock come to me after West Ham, and he had lots to say during the time at Tottenham when you had just issues with Venables, and we all know what they were because I had similar ones with Terry when he was over at Palace. Do you think fans now are getting a bit ahead of themselves? Because look at some of the demands they're putting on football clubs now, which we must be on your balls. We want the 50+1 rule. We want to have the golden share. We want this. We want that. So what's your take on that? Because in the real world, where it has to be financed,
that is ridiculous. That is totally ridiculous. That ban from the board, absolutely, totally ridiculous. I mean,
they're Tottenham and Chelsea have done that.
I mean, at Tottenham, now they've got a new stadium in 60,000 capacity. But we've got 60,000 managers. You do realise that, don't you?
He makes a factual point that every fan will have his or her own opinion. That is true. But that in itself does not invalidate the notion of fan ownership. You can still have like some kind of forum where fans submit suggestions or ideas, and the best ideas get taken to the board, or the board liaison person or non-exec director or whatever the title or position is could be somebody who just relays the general fan opinion. So I get what he's saying, that every fan will have their own subjective opinions. Of course, every fan's a human being, but you still would have ideas that are more feasible to implement. Even amongst the board level, look, Lord Sugar himself would know this, given his long and successful experience in business, that if he's discussing business decisions or strategic decisions with board members, they would disagree, and he would come to some compromise, or he'd have a majority vote. The same can happen with fans. So, I don't see why the number of fans in the stadium, or how many Tottenham fans are in their membership scheme or season ticket holders or whoever, or for any club, invalidates that.
People know best. They know better than anybody else. So you don't want them anywhere near the board. The board has got to be controlled by the owners, and at best has got to have some director of football that has actually been in football and understands football. At the tail end of my ownership of Tottenham, I had Martin as one of our ex-players and West Ham players on the board. And I had David Fleet on the board. People of knowledge know what they're talking about.
Spurs have stuck an LED in there, Alan, from the Tottenham Supporters Trust. What do you make of that?
He has an interesting point on director of football. I do think at executive level you do need somebody, because a lot of directors may not be football people. So I get where he's coming from, but when he says, the thing is, he's looking down his nose at fans, thinking, oh, they're unintelligent, oh, they don't know business. Football fans come from a wide variety of walks of life. Some may be business owners, some may be accountants, some may be marketing professionals. That is or any kind of industry which requires a strategic oversight or some knowledge of business management or what have you, right? So let's say somebody, a fan, it could be a Tottenham fan, an Arsenal fan, West Ham fan, a United fan, even if it were a so-called smaller club like, say, I don't know, a Bristol City fan, right? What if they were CEO of, and say, like, a company that had, I don't know, 50 employees? So let's say a small medium enterprise. Feasibly, the turnover of that business, the hypothetical business, could be in the millions. And they have to deal with 50 employees, so that means you have to give them workplace pensions by law. In the UK, you do at least. In other countries, you have to pay their taxes, their national insurance. You have to give them, obviously, holiday pay, both maternity and paternity leave. You know, you have to obviously give them probably a bonus if they do well. You have to discipline them or fire them if they don't do well. You know, you have lots of regulations and how you deal with customers, suppliers. Obviously, Brexit would have an effect if they're an exporting business. All right, cool. That means they may have to pay more tariffs on goods if they sell to Germany or France or the Netherlands or Spain or Denmark or Italy. Okay, you get the picture. So if that hypothetical CEO of a small medium enterprise, they have business knowledge, probably not to the extent of Lord Sugar or probably Simon Jordan or whoever else, but they still do. So to assume fans are some uneducated rabble, I think is a bit, I don't know, is not becoming, in my opinion.
Say again. Spurs have put an NED in, a non-exec director in, from the fan groups.
Well, is it symbolic or what? I don't know.
But surely they've got to have a voice down now. Surely, you know, more than any other time, the fans have got to have a voice. And this is
What
one
was the voice? No. Sorry. I don't agree with that. What is the voice? The point is, it's about, should we buy Carlos or Darcy? Do we have the money for him or not? You know, I mean, all the fans will want is better players and more expensive players and all that stuff.
I don't agree with that. Again, he's going on this uneducated route that fans wouldn't understand the higher business. I think, one, you don't know the background of all fans. Two, if fans knew the club's finances, then they would not. It is common sense. If the club could only afford a transfer budget of 100 million a season, hypothetically, then, and that includes all wages, all bonuses, all salaries, and agent fees and actual transfer fee installments, because remember, transfer fees are paid in installments over years and never, well, they're seldom ever lump sums. Then, you know, fans would accept it because that's just common sense. You can't do something that could potentially bankrupt the football club or put it in serious financial jeopardy. Fans aren't stupid. And not just that, fans maybe, okay, if there's a new sponsorship deal, if there even if there's a new accounting software you want to buy, fans may be interested in that because it affects their club. Yes, it doesn't affect the pitch or the team on the pitch, but I think fans may be interested in it because it does affect the betterment of the football club in some fashion. So I don't know, I don't get his sneering there.
The other thing that fans might demand is that, you know, in the northwest part of the stadium, when it rains, water's falling on our head sometimes.
Oh, so Lord Sugar, that's a stupid thing to say. So you're saying fans cannot complain about things in the stadium that affect them? Well, fans are customers, so if they don't want to be wet while watching football, what's so you're saying a business should not care about making its customers feel happy and comfortable?
Could you fix the roof? Yeah. My brother fixed something saying he had to come across, and he used to complain. Before we knocked the building down that water was pouring and just on his head exactly where his duty was. Yeah, so fair enough. That's not the stuff. Feed it back to the management, tell them to apportion some money to do some ground refurbishment
team owners effectively spat in the faces of the fans.
The thing is that it is true that owners of the six who wanted the Super League, and probably just all the other clubs in Europe too who wanted it, probably do have to not just eat humble pie, but make restitution, if that makes sense, with the fans. I can accept that argument, but um, I I think fan representation on boards can be a process in that. And another thing, football's a different industry. Not just football, most sports are different industry in terms of how customers relate. So let's say supermarkets, right, or retail stores. Very few people have the same attachment to Sainsbury's or Tesco or Morrison's or Asda or Lidl's or whoever else, Waitrose, M&S Food, as they do to a football club. Um, you know, a football club for many is like a life passion. You choose one team, you stick with it for life. If you choose to shop at Tesco, you don't necessarily stick with Tesco for life. There's not the same personal or societal expectation that you do, or cultural expectation you do. Um, people say support your local team. Not many people do, let's be frank, but there is a long-standing notion that people should. Again, because football clubs started in communities, they represent in communities. Um, but you know, so in that sense, because there's more of an emotive engagement in football compared to many other industries or businesses in the economy, why can't you have fan representation? Um, like say a charity. You often could have people who use the charity, who are beneficiaries of the charity, serve on the board because there's that deeper attachment there. Like say it's a school's charity or children's charity, or let's say a charity helping refugees or some shit like that. Or it could be anything. It could be an LGBT charity. It could be for ethnic minorities. Any conceivable thing. That's pretty common to have, as I say, people who benefit serving on it because it's a different dynamic. So to break it down, say, oh, fans will be unintelligent, fans will come and say frivolous shit. Some might do, but to say all would or to dismiss it, I think I don't agree. I don't like the tone there.
Yeah, lip service, that's all it is now. Lip service. What's happened was the financial side of it collapsed. It wasn't going to go ahead, wasn't going to happen. So the easiest way out is to say, oh, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, you're right. So, sorry, it was a silly idea. We're not doing it. What do you expect me to say? What do you expect me to say to the fans? Well, we tried to make it be more quick. It didn't come off. But tough luck.
Yeah, but the process out on Trafford was more than lip service. Oh, this was real. They got insane. They were fuming.
Yeah, well, but for that was disastrous. But the point is, what's that got to do with the management? They went in, and the management thought to themselves, "Oh bloody hell, this is bad news." So we turn the game off, switch it off, and reschedule the game. I don't get the point in making it. The fans have made their point. Get over it. It's not happening. So it's over now. Let's get what we need to do is to regulate the game in such a way that we don't keep looking for reasons to try to get more money.
You say regulate the game, but again, as a businessman, you should know this. Businesses care about maximizing revenues. So, in a way, this Super League thing is not a surprise. Um, is he saying he doesn't want his businesses to have more revenue? What's the difference? The issue is that, again, it's about stakeholder attachment, which is why I think fan ownership is a good thing.
Is there a problem though if we start capping wages and capping transfer fees? Is there a risk that La Liga, Bundesliga will start to supersede us?
Yeah, maybe. But so what? So what? I mean, there's all. I mean, when I first came into football, we in England were considered to be the poor relations until Sky came along, and the thing was run by Juventus. Uh,
Madrid, Barcelona. Yeah.
You looked up to Barcelona, you looked up to Juventus, you looked up to Milan, AC Milan, Inter Milan. They were the kings because they were the ones spending loads of money. Then along came Rupert and his money, and he gave more money to a league than anybody else did. And suddenly, those people playing at Juventus, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Carlos's started coming to us because we started paying loads of money. It's as simple as that. But at the end of the day, with the exception of not being able to win the Champions League because you didn't have the talent to win the Champions League, the British game itself gave entertainment for the public.
He has an interesting point that it is cyclical. Though I would say that even before the Premier League and Sky, and before the Heysel ban, English clubs are dominating Europe, whether the European Cup or the old European Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, um, the old UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League. So, even the Fairs Cup, which we won. So, this what he's saying is true. It is cyclical, but English clubs are still dominating. It's just our league was, yeah, he's right. We were a poor relation, but we did not really have as many big foreigners as say Italy and Spain did, or Germany even. But we still were dominating in Europe. So again, I accept the logic behind this point. Even still, I think it's good to see foreign players. He talks about entertainment, but surely seeing big name foreigners boost the entertainment. So I personally don't agree with salary caps because I think maximizing business is inherent to capitalism. Now, not so I unless you have some kind of tiered pay structure, like only, and this is applied globally, that if you're an elite level player, so if you're an international level player, you get X. If you're play like a big league like the Premier League or La Liga or Bundesliga, I don't know how they work it, but okay, I get where he's coming from. But I know
because you played with what you had. You had people with what you had, and we played each other, and you had your entertainment. Now, the only thing is that whoever won the league that year went into the European Championships and didn't get very far because the quality of players, with respect, let's say Leeds had at one time or Manchester United had at one time, weren't good enough, and they were out in the third or fourth round. That's the worst case scenario. So
yeah. Well, Alan, before we leave you, and we want to thank you for joining us this lunchtime. Many Tottenham fans are getting in touch at the moment, delighted to be listening to you, and I'm seeing the messages that are coming in. And most of them want me to put this to you. In their eyes at the moment, forget the Super League, Tottenham as a club is somewhat rudderless right now. Mourinho came, dipped his toe in the water, did his bit, but he's gone. Where are they now with 29-year-old Ryan Mason sitting in the technical area trying to get Tottenham to win the League Cup final? Where is the club? Where's it going? And who should be at the top of the club in terms of the manager?
This should be good.
Look, Jose Mourinho had a great reputation. He gave himself his own title of the special one. I remember saying on BBC News maybe 15 years ago, I'd like to see how special he was if he went down to Leyton Orient, see what he could do with them. He was special in the way that he could write out checks and get top players.
He has a point. Jose Mourinho is a checkbook manager to some extent, though. For me, the caveat is Porto. He didn't sign big players, but he still won the Champions League there. So I won't say he's as big a checkbook manager as Pep.
I think what Jose does, and I've got to take your hat off to him, Simon, you'd appreciate this. What do I care, quite frankly? If it goes wrong, I'll get another payoff. This geezer must have had about, I don't know, my count roughly, I mean allegedly, must have had in the last 2 or 3 years 40, 50 million pounds of paying being paying off.
He's right. He's right. A professional getting the sack merchant. That's what he's become. Jose for me is finished at the top level. We'll see how well he does at Roma, but I don't know.
That's a good business to be, don't you think, Simon?
Yeah.
Great business.
Absolutely. So what about Tottenham now? Who should be next, Alan?
But the way it works is like this with Jose, in my view. I think he starts off the season and it starts off well, and he is a clever bloke. If he sees a glimmer of hope that, yeah, we've got a chance of winning the league, he'll stay there. As soon as things start going downhill, I think he starts thinking about his compensation. Who are we going to get next? I have no clue who we're going to get next. And I'm certainly not consulted on that. I don't know. I think isn't it all about man management, really? I mean, Trev, you know better than this. You know, sometimes players are in awe of a name, right? And so in comes a person that they've never heard of, and there's immediate a kind of non-respect for that person. And the respect is attained by what they've ever achieved in the past. But isn't it about man management? You take a look at what's going on at West Ham at the moment. Yeah. He's doing a great job there, really. He's obviously motivating the players, right? And West Ham having the best season I think they've had for ages, right? Got a lot to do with the manager. Right? The manager is motivating them. So I don't know who we're going to get next. I've got no clue. No clue what. Maybe you should be the manager. I don't know.
He makes a good point about man management. I think that's a coded dig towards Mourinho. If Mourinho is going to sustain himself at the top level as a manager, he has to improve his man management. Because the thing is in life, patterns don't happen by accident. If you find that you've been, the same shit happens again and again, maybe it's you causing it consciously or subconsciously. That's what Mourinho in his great wisdom, and he is a smart man, he should figure this out for himself. But he probably, just as Lord Sugar alluded to, probably just cares about the paychecks, but whatever.
I don't think they're that desperate. Maybe Trevor should.
So yeah, I'm going to end it there because it's a very long video, but I just want to talk on those two topics. I don't agree with what Lord Sugar and Simon Jordan said on fan ownership, but I do agree with Simon Jordan on that. He's right about Arsenal. Let's frank, we are a joke, and until we change and this owner goes, then we're going to be more of a joke. So, yeah,